everyone, welcome to another edition of Geek and Dorks Reviews. It's John, I'm back, and this one's going to be a little different. I am shooting this stuff early because of my weird week coming up with my move and my big 30-hour cross-country drive. So I didn't have a chance to watch a mystery documentary, which is what I usually do on this show. However, I did go to a concert this week, and Geek and Dorks Reviews, I used to do live events as well, so I'm bringing back the old school Geek and Dorks Review just for this week, and we are covering a live event. So I went to a place called the Canyon Club, which is, it's kind of right on the border of Agora Hills and Calabasas kind of area in California. This place, it's weird, they have a couple of signs right off the freeway, and you always see that they're featuring usually some big names, but usually big names from the past. You'll see Berlin plays there a lot, or a bunch of hair bands, but they do get a little more current every now and then. It looks like Snoop Dogg's going to be playing there very soon, but it's kind of one of those places you go to see a nostalgia act, really. So my wife was a big fan of Puddle of Mudd back in the day, and they wound up having a concert at the Canyon Club, and despite living literally minutes away from it for years and years and years, we never went to it. So we decided before we would leave California, let's go see one last concert out here and we'll check that place out. So this review is going to be a little bit of a split because it's about the venue a little bit, but it's also about the act. So starting with the venue, when we looked at the tickets on the ticketing system, they had this weird thing where it looked like there was tables literally leading up to the stage, and in essence you bought 2 tickets that were seats at a table, and then you had to be there at 7 o'clock and have dinner. You had to buy $25 worth of something. And the tickets were, I think, $35 a piece, which, it's not the cheapest thing in the world, but it's a night out, and I was totally fine with it. They had opening acts that started at about 8 o'clock, and a few of those opening acts were really good. They had one called Riding Shotgun. Now, unfortunately, there's a bunch of bands called Riding Shotgun, but this is the one from LA. They're kind of a pop punk, skateboard type music, which I've kind of fell in love with the Tony Hawk video games and never really let go of. So I really enjoyed their set. They were really good. Then a very young band came up called Paper, and those kids were really solid, very, very tight band. Unfortunately, they had a third opening act that wasn't so good, and it was really tough because you had 2 opening acts that, typically you're lucky to have one that you like, and I literally had 2 that I was really digging. And then this third one, once again a young band, but just didn't understand the nuance at all. It was like everything they were doing was screaming and just going at a full 10 the whole time. And I like that type of music generally, but there has to be some oscillation to it, and they were just too young to really understand that. They played a cover of Beautiful Disaster by 311, and they sped it up to where it literally killed all the nuance and the cool angles in that song and tried to make it, it's not a song that's made to be sped up like that. It didn't come out very well. However, about 10 o'clock is when the headliner finally takes the stage, and that is Puddle of Mudd. Now, I didn't know a whole lot. I know that they had one kind of big album in the early 2000s that had, I think, 3 or 4 singles that kind of spun off of it that got a ton of radio play. Apparently, they won a couple of awards for those songs. Blurry is probably the one that most of you know. That's kind of their biggest hit. But there was this weird thing going on while I was watching them perform. Now, what's cool is we didn't have to stay at the tables. I mean, we could have if we wanted to, but the tables were not actually in front of the stage. They were off to the side, and they had kind of a dance floor area, so we were able to get up and just go stand close to the stage. I think we were probably 3 people away from the edge of the stage, which was really cool and a lot of fun. The band was super tight. I mean, really, really tight. Great guitarist, great bassist, great drummer. And by the way, I think these are all new guys. They're not, well, Puddle of Mudd has been kind of a constant revolving door of musicians, but from what I've looked at on their Wikipedia, this last pass is basically just the lead singer with a bunch of new musicians. But they were really, really good. The lead singer Had some cool charisma going on, but I noticed very early on that there was this weird kind of depression thing that I was feeling, kind of vibing with him for some reason. And he looked kind of strung out, just a little messy and kind of rolling his chin around a whole lot while he's singing and contorting his face a lot while he's singing. He didn't look like a guy that was super, super healthy. And then I think 2 or 3 songs in, he fell. He literally, and it's not like he's thrashing around, he just bumped into something. He just took a couple steps backward, hit the edge of where the drum kit riser was and fell. Took a sip from a beer, got back up and went forward and kept singing. He tried to do a cover of Old Man, that Take a Look at My Life song by Neil Young, and he made it about 20 or 30 seconds in, and he just could not remember the lyrics. The band kept playing, and at one point he turns around and he just kind of goes like this, and then all the band stops and he gets on the mic and he's like, I effed up, I can't remember it. And at that point, people are kind of laughing it off and like, oh, it's funny, the lead singer can't remember his thing. But that weird depression thing that I had went even deeper. And I don't know if it was from looking into like the Kurt Cobain case and all this stuff, but I just had this dark feeling like, man, this guy, I don't know, he doesn't look healthy. Like I was afraid for his health while I was trying to watch him. First you see him fall, then he completely misses his lyrics. At one point, the whole band left the stage. He was like, hey, we're just going to take a minute, and everyone left the stage. I've never seen that happen before. And even before that, check this out. I'm standing there, and all of a sudden I feel this body completely fall against me and hit the ground. And I turn around, and it's this young girl that obviously had too much to drink, and she was just completely glassy-eyed, and her brain just wasn't working. There was a guy that was standing next to us, and I don't know if part of her drink spilled when she fell or something, but he looked like he was about to punch her. He had this he buffed his shoulders up and he's like staring at her, and she didn't even know where she was. And he stayed like that for like a good 45, 60 seconds. And I'm just watching this whole thing going, what, are you going to hit her? Like, what the hell are you doing? That same guy then turns around, gets back into the show, and he was the goofiest fan of Puddle of Mudd that I've ever seen. He's screaming at the stage, yeah, spray some water on me. He wanted the lead singer, Wes, to spray water into the crowd. Yeah, get some water on me, dude. It was the weirdest night. The band all heads off stage. They come back on stage and give a chair to Wes, to the lead singer. So he's literally now sitting in a chair, and then they play Blurry. Which I believe it was in that song. All of a sudden he started doing some lyrics from Grease. I might be remembering the song wrong, but at one point he started singing lyrics from the musical Grease, forgot how the lyrics that he was supposed to be singing for the song, so he just kind of improvised the end of the song. And then he's like, hey, we're just going to go get a drink, and all of you should too. We'll be back in a minute. Literally, they came out, propped him up in a chair. He sang one song, couldn't even get through it, and then they were off stage again. And they had only been playing like 45 minutes, maybe 50 minutes at most. It was crazy sad. I mean, at that point, I just remember my wife turns around, she's like, okay, I'm ready to go. And I was already feeling it because I felt like I was watching this dude that is, I hate to say it this way, but that's killing himself, and he's just doing it in a public venue. I don't know how much longer that guy has to go, and it really sucks. It's weird because I look at that whole night and I'm like, wow, yeah, that's a good dose of rock and roll. I have a drunk woman fall and spill her drink all over my pants, and she's not the one I'm worried about. I'm more worried about the lead singer because he looks so messed up tonight. It was crazy, and it was a little dark. So I looked into them a bit more on Wikipedia after the fact, and learned a lot more, and that's where I learned about, the whole band kind of coming and going, and pretty much he's the only member that has stuck through the whole thing. But apparently they've also had lip syncing controversy since 2012. Scantlin has been accused on numerous occasions of lip syncing during live performances. Well, I can tell you for a fact there was no lip syncing going on this night. He was messing up lyrics, he was forgetting things. Maybe this is the first show where they decided not to, I don't know. There's mention about in April of 2014, he had an onstage meltdown during a show at Trees, Dallas, in which he threw a microphone and beer into the audience, as well as appearing to threaten and attempt to physically attack members of the audience. There was one point when he was singing a song and his mic came off of the cable and he threw the mic across the stage, but I didn't see him really do anything violent. It was just more like a guy that was kind of out of his head a little bit and not really handling the situation the best. Very, very strange place for a frontman to be, especially for a band like that. There's more. In June 2015, the band were booed off the stage at a show in Versailles, Ohio, after he was spotted lip syncing. And in September 26, 2015, he lip synced again at a concert in Colombo, Sri Lanka. At one point, they even erased or deleted their whole Facebook page because they were catching so much flack about this. If nothing else, I can tell you, at least for the show I saw, he was not lip singing, except the band was singing a lot of the chorus with him, which I don't think that counts. And quite honestly, those were some of the better moments in the show because it sounded good to have a bunch of good, healthy voices singing those lyrics. But I just can't get over this sadness. It was weird. If you want to see the darker side of rock and roll in a live performance, go check out Puddle of Mudd while you can, but I have serious fears that this dude isn't going to be around very long. And if you are a big fan, or if you are someone that is connected to them in some way, man, I just wish that someone would help this guy out. And I know it's so tough. I mean, to get people to try to address their own issues like that can be practically impossible at times, but I don't think it's not worth trying. This guy really needs some kind of help. It was just a really rough thing to see. But all that being said, venue, I would definitely recommend it. Their sound was good. Like I mentioned, the opening acts were really good. Food was decently priced. Drinks weren't too expensive. It was kind of a cool place. I would probably check it out again. Almost like a House of Blues, but not quite that cool and not quite that expensive, to be honest. The Canyon Club, definitely dug it. Puddle of Mudd, maybe buy the best of CD. That's I think my suggestion. Like I said, unless you want to see the dark side of rock, go check it out for yourself. But all right, folks, that's it for this Geek and Dorks review. Have you ever seen them live? You ever see them lip sync? Tell me about it in the comments below. I hope you're all having a great week. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode, and I'll catch you on the next show on the Geek and Dorks channel.